Welcome to What the Financial, the show that helps you embrace the elephant and befriend the mouse. For many people, retirement is the elephant in the room. It's too big to plan for, but it's also the mouse in the room. It's those small financial decisions that you avoid or are afraid of making. If you don't have a plan, these decisions can eat through everything you've worked hard for. Your host, Steve Lebens, will help you tame these creatures and answer WTF about your finances.
Welcome to the What the Financial podcast with Sara Lebens of Lebens Advisory Group. This is one of my favorite episodes because we get to learn all about Sara from Sara. Let's start out with your background, Sara. Talk about your professional experience and what led to your current position as CEO of Lebens Advisory Group.
I would love to share some information about Lebens Advisory Group and my background. I've had a wonderful, successful career in human resources and was spent about 23 years or so with Hyatt Hotels Corporation. Started out in that career because I was looking for an area in hospitality that kind of went along the lines of helping people and making a difference. Some of the exciting things I got to do while I was with Hyatt Corporation in those 23 years was be involved in not just policies, procedures, and kind of that HR stuff people think about, but was also involved in being able to make a difference in the impact from a global scale. So, for an example, one of the initiatives that I was privileged to be a part of was the lead for the Women's Global Initiative. And we were able to make change for about 100,000 employees globally. So that was exciting. And
Yeah.
that was something that, as I started that career and I evolved, that was certainly an exciting opportunity to be able to make an impact. And I had spent about 17 years at one location after going to about 5 different cities and overseeing human resources. And I also was able to oversee operations in Canada, which I believe is where you're from, and was excited to have a different aspect from more of a global scale of leading HR. But as I spent 17 years or so in the Hyatt Regency Minneapolis, I also knew that I had to constantly reinvent myself, constantly make sure I was working on the most relevant things because I was well placed there.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time frame, I was also able to expand corporate initiatives. So for instance, I was able to work with new HR directors, helping them get into their roles, get comfortable. I was able to be the lead for the human resource operations compliance. So I was able to have a compliance review in Aruba, which was an incredible opportunity. And then I was in Wichita and some other cities. But the nice part about it was able to travel and to see other operations in the field. The experience gave me opportunities to look at diversity inclusion, recruiting, engaging employees, and creating really, really top notch work performance areas for companies and teams.
Mm-hmm.
And working with Hyatt, I was able to align with their values. They have strong values in service, integrity, fun, care. So it really aligned with my values and me personally.
Then why did you leave?
It was an opportunity where I needed to realign with my values personally. My life became extremely full. It became busy, just like all of the clients that we work with. So I was leading the kind of life that people I help today, where they have a full life professionally, they have a full life personally with their families. And even if they don't have families of their own, they are leading very busy, exciting lives.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the point that, at our values at 20 years old or 30 years old or 40 years old are very different. So we're constantly evolving as humans to adapt to what's new in our life, what changes are happening. And at that point, I really looked at what my personal values were and was I fully aligned. And somehow along the lines, I'd gotten a little bit out of alignment. Hyatt is an unbelievable company, and it's actually one of my top clients to date. And we have some wonderful partnerships with them. But I was really able to take a look at realigning with family, with my faith. And so I made a very hard decision to leave and open up our own business. Being able to open up our own business, I took from that experience all the things I loved to do when I was in corporate America And I was able to carve out those areas to be able to do them more often and at a
Hmm.
higher level, which was fantastic and exciting all at the same time.
Yeah, not a lot of people make that jump.
No, it certainly took some time to think through it and to really plan out what that would look like. But I also didn't want to be led by fear versus faith. And so I took a lot of time to think of, what was I afraid of?
Hmm.
What would the worst that could happen be? And when I looked at that, it didn't match at all what the possibilities were of being curious about the future and being able to really create something exciting, especially for our family.
That's valid. That's very valid.
Yeah,
So you wanted to be a better version of you.
I did. I really wanted to show up better. And, as parents, sometimes we catch ourselves, whether we're on a device or we're occupied in our mind mentally. And I just noticed I was not showing up the best version of me. And it was because I wasn't putting my well being in place. I wasn't necessarily being mindful of being fully there when I was in conversations. That's not how I wanted to live.
All
That
right.
wasn't aligned with any of the values I have.
Then tell me a little bit more about your personal background.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Minnesota. It was my home base. My mom was there and was, really a anchor and my hero. And in the summer times, my brother and I went to live with my dad. And so we lived everywhere from California, Louisiana, Connecticut, Hawaii.
Well, what did your dad do?
My dad was in the business world. So he also would go into troubled companies and help turn them around. And the exciting thing was every summer it was kind of a different opportunity in a different place. That was for an 11-year-old kid, that was very exciting. We'd go to hotels, we'd stay in all these neat places. And that kind of gave me the bug for the hospitality business and being in service of others.
And are you married now? Do you have kids?
So currently, I'm married to my husband and business partner, Steve. We have 4 kids at various ages of life, a couple of them that are adulting. Our son Kyle is a graduate from the University of Wisconsin Stout. He's currently working in sales. And Alex, our other son, is at the University of Minnesota Duluth. He's currently working on an internship for financial services, and he's a market analyst. And then we have a daughter, Keeman, who is in high school. So we're getting all those interesting high school
Oh,
years,
yes.
right? And she enjoys everything outdoors. We like to travel as a family. So is a swimmer and loves having her friends over. And she was born with Down syndrome. So that also, Patrice, was part of my choice in being able to leave a corporation and carve out a unique, special business where I could be more present with her and provide additional support.
I understand.
I've always said we get one chance to raise our kids right, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity.
Right.
And then we also have Sammy, who's in middle school and loves softball and basketball. And we had a child, Daisy, who we lost, who also had Down syndrome. So during all of the transitions and alignments in life, that was a difficult time, but it was a time where we were able to, again, look at our values and what was important. And then lastly, we sponsor a child in Ghana. And so we work with Compassion International to sponsor young kids
Hmm.
there and to provide support across the world.
Awesome. You have a lot of balls in the air here. What do you do for yourself, for your free time? What do you like to do?
When my dad would travel with my brother and I and my dad and live those summers in kind of those neat places, my dad taught us to play golf. So I've been playing golf since I was 11 and absolutely love it. That's a way that I can relax. We actually now live across from a beautiful golf course, so it's nice to be able to watch it. I don't get out as much as I used
Right.
to, so my short game is not quite as good as it used to be. But I also love hot yoga because I can do that anywhere.
Hmm.
I've gotten my kids involved in it. So that's been exciting because it's something I can do with them and also for myself physically. We love traveling and, I'm a lifelong learner, always curious to stay on top of information to help our clients. And so I try to dedicate at least a day a week where I am on podcasts, I'm learning, I'm reading books so that I have the most relevant information from a leadership perspective, HR, kind of all of that. And then the last thing is I am queen of dance offs. So we have family dance offs. We will
Ah,
challenge anybody to old school dance offs.
what kind of dance? I mean, current pop or what?
A little bit of everything,
All
but I
right.
have to say I can rap an entire song. Rapper's Delight is my favorite. And I also love old school dance. So I studied ballet at the Minnesota Dance Theater for 7 years growing up, and then various dance. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with that.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned staying on top of everything for your clients. Tell me about Lebens Advisory Group.
Oh, with pleasure. Yeah, so we opened up Lebens Advisory Group in 2014. We did it with the intent that we wanted to create something to help people like us. We needed help. We needed to realign, as I kind of went over that, just a busy, full life that we were leading. And so Lebens Advisory Group was founded on the belief that we wanted to be in service of others. We wanted to help them reach their potential, reach their goal, and not have it be where they have to make tough decisions of all or nothing. So we started out as a very small boutique company, and we've been 100% referral based, which I'm super proud of, and I know Steve is as well.
Hmm.
We have the pleasure of a lot of clients that have worked with both Steve and then will cross pollinate and work with me, and then vice versa. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for busy people that lead these big and exciting lives that they're trying to manage. And our goal is really to meet people where they're at, Patrice. I mean, I think as I look at the individuals we work with, some people are, for example, wanting to move up and are very hungry to be promoted and to move up in their careers. Others are wanting to make a transition and do something different. Others just need support because they are leading this life where they are analytical and they're maybe an individual business contributor, but they aren't doing the right things for their body, their mindset, their emotional intelligence, and so they burn out. And we find that there's a recent study that said with burnout, it's about 2 to 4 years to recover from a burnout. So it's not a weekend anymore that you can have a
Yeah.
weekend off and get back right at it Monday. It takes a while, and I've experienced that also in my career. So I can see that and help clients from that perspective. Some of our client successes is that we've had people that have reached great promotions as CEOs. We've helped people open businesses. I had a young lady that I worked with coaching, and she kept saying she's too young to own a business. And I challenged those limiting beliefs, and she's now a super successful business owner and living her dream, and
Wow.
super excited she did it. But there was so much fear in there that we had to change that so she could see what I was seeing, which was an amazing leader. I think one of the best things that we've been able to accomplish, that me personally with Lebens Advisory Group, is we've helped companies create this culture of empathy and care and really putting the employees first. And one of the examples was we helped a company go from the great places to work, top best companies in the country. We helped them go from a 78 on the list out of 100 to in the top 10 and number 9. And for me, that was extremely a proud moment where I was able to make change with this company and help them tell their story and help to tell it in a way that was receptive to Forbes magazine and the list that they do. And they showed up as top companies for women, for people retiring, for multicultural. So that diversity inclusion was a huge piece of our work from Lebens Advisory Group. The beauty is that when somebody comes to our company and wants to have assistance, we found that I will attract individuals from a professional standpoint with my executive coaching and then also human resources background and leadership background. That will bring them in, and then they start looking at, wow, I've been working so hard and I've been doing all these things to advance my career, but I haven't really been saving. I don't know what my retirement's going to look like. I don't even know what my plan is. I'm just doing everything for everybody else to advance. We're able to take them in and say, okay, so if that is something, absolutely we can help with that as well. But we don't push it on people. So if someone comes to either Steve or myself for a particular alignment in wealth or alignment in leadership and life, we hear what their needs are, and then we're able to better accommodate the full picture, the holistic approach to really being a whole person and not having your life departmentalized.
Sarah, tell me about your approach as a coach and an HR consultant.
My approach is very hands-on. I like to think of myself as getting in with individuals and getting in their space and meeting them where they're at. So I listen. I want authentic conversations. I don't ever want them to feel like they have to come in and be someone they're not in our coaching sessions or our leadership sessions or even in consulting. I'd rather someone throws out the mess and then let's clean it up and let's look at it.
Hmm.
So, very hands on, authentic approach. And I combined my human resources experience, and I started in Los Angeles. So, I kind of coined it as I had the LA HR boot camp approach to things. My first workers' comp case was a gentleman holding a housekeeper by bomb in a hotel room. And when does that ever happen when you're 22 years old and just starting out?
Oh, yeah.
So I leveraged some of that HR experience with a number of certifications that I've continued to do. As I shared, I'm a lifelong learner. I've been certified in situational leadership, emotional intelligence, resilience, and multiple leadership assessments to really help the clients take a look at themselves and see how they're showing up. And is it the way they intend to show up? Is it the best version that they can show up in? And then, I think, Patrice, the bottom line of really what I like to do is simplify my client's life just by bringing support or direction,
Hmm.
and also having an active action plan that they can align with their purpose. And it helps them to quiet out the noise. We have so much noise in our society these days, and we have so much kind of interrupting how we even run our life. One of the trainings we do is about really time management, how to be most productive. It's interesting. Every time we get interrupted, there's a study that shows it takes about 23 minutes on average to get back to what you were doing. If you look at your day, our days are interrupted all the time.
Right.
Our employees and our clients are constantly hearing this noise. We help them to really dig down on what's important and how to align with that.
You've got a story here to tell, don't you?
Yeah, so I've had absolute pleasure of working with high potential leaders too. So I work with everybody from, all people, to be quite honest, but middle management up to the CEO of the company. And we had a leader that was a high potential leader, and she was very much kind of marked for upper leadership in the C-suite. She was excited about this opportunity. She felt that it was great to get the attention. And so she was constantly doing what everybody else wanted, but not really digging deep on, did she really want that promotion? Or did she want to start her family? Or did
Hmm.
she want to have more time with her husband? So there was all these things playing into it. Through our coaching, we really got to dive deep into what does she want and what does success look like for her. That's the most powerful thing we can do for people, is to make sure they don't get lost along the way. They don't do things to please everybody else and leave themselves out of the mix.
How do you do that?
Oh, it's a lot of coaching and exploring kind of their self-awareness. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of assessments that we will do with people. We really like to take a look at what's their purpose, what's their why, because if we can align with what our strengths are, what we're great at, and what motivates us, then we're unstoppable. And we're doing things and it never feels like a job, or it never feels like it's tedious and it has to be done. When you're fully aligned with what you want to do in life and you're doing it well, it just becomes more
Right.
simple. And we don't need to complicate life. We don't need to make it something that it's not.
That is true. Now, that having been said, what does success look like for you?
Well, my passion has always been to be in service of others. And I think that started when I was young and traveling with my father during those summers. We'd stay in hotels or we'd stay at different places, and I'd watch everything from whether it was a bus person or whether it was a door person or whether it was at the airport. And I loved when people would be able to do some of the most simple things and it'd put a smile on your face. And so as a young, impressionable kid, I watched all that. I like to be in service. I consider myself a servant leader. I like to watch people grow. I like to watch them thrive. Seeing other people's success makes me so happy. And in my career with Hyatt, I was able to be, as I mentioned, a mentor to new HR directors and
Hmm.
to executive committees and help general managers and so forth. I was able to do that every day. And the more I saw their success, the more I just would smile and think, I'm so privileged to be a part of that, so privileged to be a part of their life. And my career in hospitality was being in service of others. And coaching is similar. It's being in service of others. It's not my agenda when I provide coaching for people. It's not about me whatsoever. It's about the client. It's about their story and what they want. A very talented coach can ask powerful questions and be able to extract that information so they're living their vision, not something that's provided to them or given to them by someone that might have a different agenda.
I can hear excitement in your voice while you're saying all this. It must be very uplifting for you.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. I had a young lady that I worked with, and watching her get promoted through the ranks. She's now a chief HR officer and she's one of the best. She helps open new companies. And I watch her and I'm extremely proud. And I have a
Yeah.
gentleman that I groomed for many years, and he is one of 7 in a global company on a diversity inclusion group that he's been selected out of 100,000 employees. So I see
Wow.
that kind of success, and I see what they're able to accomplish when someone just holds a mirror up and shows them how incredible they are and what's possible. Coach is sort of a cheerleader as well.
Your success is their success.
Yeah. And I'd also say my success is a combination of that. So that's the side of the professional side. There's also success of being a wife, a mom, a daughter, a sister. It's allowed me to be in service of my family. It's my educational background and being able to continue to push myself, going back and getting education on how to do something in a different way. I'll tell you, when COVID-19 hit, I was speaking at Boston Scientific, and I was a keynote for their women's network group. And I'd just been in a 1,000-person conference in Los Angeles.
Oh.
As I came back, I received a questionnaire that asked the questions about where you've been, who you've been around.
Mm-hmm.
So within a matter of a day, I had to go from speaking in front of a few hundred people to actually doing it virtually. I had to pivot. I had to
Yeah.
change and be agile with what I was doing. And I will tell you, it's very different looking at your computer screen versus sitting in front of and watching people's excitement or lack of or whatever, so you can adjust as a speaker. Success does change. It does look different. And I need to make sure I'm walking the talk. I need to make sure that I'm including learning and well-being and all those things in my life so that I can show up how I hope and expect our clients to show up.
Who should listen to your podcast?
I would say anybody, actually anybody with a big and busy life, which probably is all of us, if I would be
I'll go
really
for
honest.
that. Yep.
Yeah. To dig down a little bit deeper, people that are looking to be more self-aware. We have a lot of people that are in the business world that emotional intelligence is about 85% of your success. IQ is about 15. The people that are getting the jobs you get your job based on your IQ, but you really maintain that job because of your EQ. Anybody that's looking to grow those relationship skills, engagement skills, be able to kind of elevate their emotional intelligence, that want to be able to have a better mindset, that want to move up, that want to transition, that want to work on their life and their home life and integration. I don't necessarily believe in the work-life balance. I think it's an integration. It's a teeter-totter. Some days I rock it as a mom, and some days I could use some improvement. I barely squeak by. It's a matter of anybody that's looking for support in areas that are work or life or their wealth. Those are people that we really, really align well with.
Sara, how can people get in touch with you if they want to talk?
First of all, we have complimentary consultations that we can have available for people, and they can go to our website. It's lebensadvisorygroup.com. It's LEB as in boy, ENS advisorygroup.com. Also, you can get a hold of us on our email, which is Sara, SARA, at lebensadvisorygroup.com, or Steve, STEVE, at lebensadvisorygroup.com. Our phone numbers are 612-961-1376 for Sara and for the Aligned Leadership Division. And for Steve, under the Wealth Management Division and Alignment, his is 612-961-0156.
That was great, Sara. Thanks so much. Sara Lebens of Lebens Advisory Group. To hear more from Sara, all you have to do is subscribe to this podcast, What the Financial, by tapping the subscribe button on this page. You can also share with the share button. I'm Patrice Sikora, and let's talk again later.
Thank you for listening to What the Financial Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Lebens Advisory Group LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.